Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to have a look at another collaboration beer. So this one is half Swedish on the home side, half American on the away side. The Swedish side is a brewery that I've reviewed many times for you on the channel before, and one of the best known Swedish craft breweries these days actually, while on the American side today we've got something a little bit quirky and different. So we're going to go to Oregon for the American side of things and have a look at a hop farm who I hadn't heard of before, but apparently they are quite big and very well respected within the Oregon beer community actually. So very nice to feature these guys on the channel for you for the first time, of course. So for the Swedish side of things then, we are going to head up towards Gothenburg once again. Göteborg, as you would say in Swedish, the Swedish craft beer capital up here on the west coast, as I always say on the channel. But yeah, this is another beer from Stigbergets Bryggeri. This one is called the Three-Headed Cod. It comes in at 7.5% ABV, a New England hazy style IPA, and it's brewed in collaboration with Crosby hops, who are from Woodburn in the Willamette Valley, about halfway between Portland to the north and Salem to the south in Oregon on the American west coast. So this beer was available on glass banking in the latter half of June 2020. But it was released throughout the whole of Sweden in Systembolaget as part of the Lokal och Småskaligt assortment for July 2020. But it's a very highly rated beer. This one is supposed to be very nice, and you know, Stigbergets have been doing some very nice New England hazy IPAs recently. I think they've really upped their game in the last little while actually. My particular favourite in recent times were the Queen and King of Hops. And also the Ololeo. I think the Ololeo is the one to beat for me. The last one that I had, the Hop Selection IPA that they did with North Brewing, that was nice, but I have to admit I just didn't quite like it as much as the Ololeo and the King of and the King and Queen that I had before, but it was a very nice beer. So I'm really curious to see how this one turns out. I've heard very good things about this one, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. Incidentally, I know that my friend Rob over at Hop Scene has reviewed this beer, so do make sure you go and check out his channel. He's one of the oldest UK craft beer reviewers, so make sure you go and check out his channel if you want a more kind of concise review of the beer. You can definitely go and check out his videos. He's got some very nice things there. I don't know how long ago it was he reviewed that. I've not watched it yet though, because obviously I want my review to be kind of completely original and things, but I will watch it probably when I'm uploading this video and things like that. But yeah, let's see how we get on with this one then. So as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. I'll also tell you a little bit about the Crosby Hop Farm and their history in this one as well. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to the Crosby Hop Farm website as well. I'll also put a link down there to my other reviews that I've done from Stigbergets Bryggeri before. I don't know if I will ever have any other reviews involving Crosby hops, but we'll need to see about that. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is that takes your fancy. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to. There is another list there for the American ones, and I think in fairness I probably will put this one into the American list as well, because the Hop Farm are American, so you will find this in this beer in both of those lists because it is dual nationality. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Stigbergets Bryggeri then, first off, since these guys are the home institution. So Stigbergets Bryggeri, as I've told you on many occasions, are based in Gothenburg, Göteborg, and they were founded by Nils Hultkrantz and Richard Simonsson. So these two guys own two bars that share the one kitchen. This is the Bar Kino and the Hagebjörns Cafe, which you can find on Linnegatan in the city to the south of the main kind of island of Gothenburg, if you like. But both of these opened back in 2007, and this building is actually an independent cinema, hence the name Bar Kino. Until I went and visited it, I actually had no idea about that. I just didn't make the connection. But the Hagebjörns Cafe is in the atrium of the cinema building, if you like, whereas the bar keynote is in the basement. And if you go and check my out and about video, you can get a look at those. I do hope that the next time I go there, I can sit in the Hagabion's cafe for you and review a few different things. But yeah, there's some very interesting films on there, so I do recommend that you check it out. But originally the idea that these guys had was that they could brew a few beers to sell in the cafe and the bar. And this led to them, eventually kegging the beer and selling it on to other pubs. And then they started bottling the beers, which began in late 2014. I believe it was November. But the original beers that they were producing were mainly English and German styles. But this brewery really made its name when they changed their focus to the more hoppy American styles of beer. The original head brewer that these guys had was Ole Anderson, who is one of the co-owners of OO Brewing. He was the creator of the GBG Beer Week 2016 beer. He also created the Amazing Haze, and then for OO, his own company, there was the Narangi, and these three are kind of cult classics, if you like, for the Swedish hazy IPAs. Those three beers were the ones that really kind of put this style on the map, if you like. But he left the company in 2017. He was replaced for a period of time by Barnaby Struve, who was one of the vice presidents at Three Floyds, and since then they've replaced him as well. He was only there for a very short period of time. More recently, I believe it was 2018, they opened up a new brewery at Partihalarna, where they're brewing 5,000 litre batches at a time, and they're also beginning to work on different sour beers as well. They've also started selling their beers in these 440ml cans, because this makes it a lot easier for them to export, and they've now got a brew team of Ollie Banks, who used to work for Beavertown in London, and Lucas Munraid, who used to work for All In Brewing, one of the very well known and well respected gypsy brewers around Gothenburg. Gothenburg, like I say, is the epicentre of Swedish craft beer. It's kind of catching up. It's caught up very quickly, I think, to Copenhagen. I don't know if it's really a debate yet which one is better, but there's so many breweries around Gothenburg, and I would recommend that you check some of these out. But they open up the brewery every so often to host a bar. So you can keep an eye on their social media for that, and they very recently opened up a bar in Stockholm as well. I believe it was the end of March or start of April that they opened up their bar in Stockholm. So when I go up there next time, I will need to do a little out and about video and show you show you, how do you say, the Stockholm Stigbergets bar. But as of July 2020, when I'm producing this review for you, they've produced in the region of 65 different types of beer. But I do suspect that number isn't accurate, because like I said, they were producing a number of English and German beers back in the early 2010s, if you like. So that's probably before Untappd really kind of hit Sweden, if you like. So yeah, not sure how accurate that number is, but every month they are putting out a few new different beers actually through the local Osmoska League assortment too. So I would recommend that you check these ones out as they come. You will see another 2 reviews from Stigbergets from me this month. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Stigbergets Bryggeri for the moment. If you do get the chance, I recommend trying the new and improved GBG Beer Week and also the Amazing Haze. They've done several other very nice IPAs. Recently it's the Ololeo and the King of Hops and Queen of Hops that have really impressed me, I have to say. So yeah, that's all you need to know about Stigbergets Bryggeri. Sorry about the edit there, guys. Camera was just being a little bit annoying, I have to say. So yeah, let's talk about the Crosby Hop Farm then, the American side of this beer. So as I mentioned to you earlier, the Crosby Hop Farm are based in a little place called Woodburn in Oregon on the American west coast. This is about halfway between Portland to the north and Salem to the south. I believe Salem is the state capital, but correct me on that if I'm wrong. And this is part of the Willamette Valley in Oregon. You might recognise that name, of course, because of the lovely Willamette hop, which gives you these, black currant and kind of more earthy flavours and stuff like that. Really interesting one, I have to say. But this farm has been in the Crosby family for 5 generations. The history of the company goes back to when Charles Crosby bought 160 acres of land in Lynn County, having returned home to Oregon from California. Later in 1900, his son Albert bought 160 acres of land off the McCormick Donation land claim near Woodburn, and it's this site that is the current Crosby Farm location. So Albert's son Edgar took over the running of the farm until 1960, and then Edgar's sons Edgar Jr. and then Don began farming in 1944. The 4th generation of the family was Kevin Crosby, who went straight into farming after high school in 1977, and today it's Blake who serves as the head of the farm, and he is the 5th generation of the Crosby family to farm the hops there. But apparently this area's fertility is massive, thanks to huge ice age floods and rich volcanic soil and glacial soil that was displaced from eastern Washington back in the Ice Age, of course. And this area is part of the Oregon Trail, and it was settled by a number of westward moving immigrants. from the 1820s onwards. So I think that the descendants or the people, Charles Crosby's older family, you know, that's where they would have come from. They would have been westward moving immigrants, if you like. But yeah, that's all I can really tell you about the Crosby farm. As I said, this is quite a well-respected hop farm over in Oregon. Oregon, of course, has a huge craft beer scene. You know, Portland is one of the best craft beer cities in America, from what I gather. I really hope that I can get over there and visit it at some point in the next few years. But yeah, you know, there's supposed to be some awesome things over there. I do know some of the bigger breweries, you know, like Hopworks, Urban Brewery. There's a few other ones out there. I think the Red Hook beer, not from Oregon as well. But yeah, I do need to get out to Oregon and have a taste of some of these different beers. But they've got a hell of a lot of hop farms up there, and of course that's given birth to a number of little craft breweries. So Portland in Oregon is somewhere that is definitely on my list of places to visit. But yeah, as I say, that's all I can really tell you about Crosby Hop Farm for the moment. If you want to learn more, you can check out their website in the description below, and who knows, we'll maybe have another collaboration beer involving these guys at some point in the future. But definitely cool to see them collaborate with Stigbergets Bryggeri. It's not something that you would normally come across. So yeah, pretty damn cool, I have to say. But yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. So as I told you earlier, this one is called the Three-Headed Cod. It's a New England IPA coming in at 7.5% ABV, and this one is hopped with Idaho 7, Crystal and Amarillo. So Amarillo, as we know, is a lovely big oily orangey hop. Idaho 7's got some really lovely kind of soft tropical fruits to it, you know, papayas, you know, a bit of apricot, you know, light mangoes and light passion fruit and stuff like this. And Crystal, on the other hand, it's a hop that I've come across a few times, and it's quite a sort of spicy, floral and slightly fruity bittering hop. I know a lot of people have described it as being like black pepper, so it's quite peppery in its kind of bittering qualities, if you like. It's supposed to have a little woody element to it as well. Not one that I've come across all that often. I have come across it, you know, 2 or 3 times over the last year, but it's not a hop that's commonly used by European breweries, of course, so it will be interesting to see how that turns out in this beer. But yeah, as I say, Idaho 7, Crystal and Amarillo in this one. So let's get this beer out and we'll get on with the tasting. As you can see, the artwork is very, very nice there. You can see the Stigbergets trademark and also the Crosby Farm. But yeah, a very, very nicely presented beer, this one. The artwork on it is absolutely lovely. So yeah, let's get it out and into the glass and just see how we get on. 440ml can, this one. As I said to you earlier, this one was released as part of the local Småskalig assortment in Systembolaget here in Sweden on the 1st of July, and I think I paid like 45 crowns for this, which is typical of a, you know, a sort of New England IPA, 440 here in Sweden. So yeah, to translate that into other currencies, about €4.50, probably $4.50 American, and it's like, what, about 44, it's about £3.75 or something like that in English sterling. So yeah, let's see how we get on with this one though. So as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely it's kind of a mid orangey yellow. It's somewhere between orange and yellow, the colour of this beer. But you can see the head on this one is about a half finger. It's quite a bumpy looking head on that, actually. It's kind of cream coloured. That's going to fade away very quickly to be a thin foamy layer, but you can see there's a hell of a lot of haze to this one. The thing that you'll always get with the New England IPAs, because of the oats and the wheat content, the higher you go up the alcohol chain, the progressively more hazy they will get. If you look at some of the other half triple IPAs and things like that, they've got the 10, 11%ers, you know, the hazy level on these is just absolutely insane. But yeah, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass with this one, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there, but pretty much nothing particularly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance when you consider what style it is. As I say, if I put my fingers behind the glass there, it does look very, very nice. But yeah, I really like how this one appears. It's nothing surprising about it. Let's take a closer look at the aroma then and see how we get on. And I will say that when you open up the can, you get some of those lovely soft fruity notes from the Idaho 7 coming out. So let's take a closer look at that now. Ooh, yeah, that's very, very nice. So yeah, straight away with this beer, you get those lovely tropical notes from the Idaho 7. You know, you've got a little bit of a kind of pungent passion fruit to it. You've got juicy mangoes. You've got papayas, a little bit of a pineapple-y quality coming out of it. You know, it's got all of these lovely light kind of tropical fruits coming out of it. And if you take in the aroma a bit more deeply, you do get that big oily citrusy orange coming out from the Amarillo. So I really like how the aroma in this one goes together. If you've watched the channel before, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the big oily orange IPAs, but this one's got a lovely orangey backbone to the fruity side, but it's got the juicy kind of tropically notes coming out on top of that. But yeah, the aroma of this one, I think the fruity side of it is just beautiful. It does have a wee bit of a kind of citrusy zest to it. You know, if I was blind smelling this without knowing the hop bill, I would probably think that it's got a wee bit of like Centennial or something in it, because it does have a wee bit of a kind of lemony limey edge to it at the front of the nose. And of course the limes, maybe I would have argued that was Equinaut or something like that, or Malteke from New Zealand. But yeah, the hoppy, the fruity notes you get out of this are lovely. Like I say, a slightly strong. There's a tiny little bit of a strong passion fruit to this one. You've got some nice juicy, as I say, you've got a nice little bit of a juicy mango to it. The lighter things like papayas and apricots, and you've also got a bit of that kind of juicy pineapple note. But underneath that, you really get an oily kind of orangey quality, and that is the Amarillo. And you've got some kind of you do really have a nice kind of lemony, limey type citrus coming out of this one on the front of the nose. I really like that juicy, fruity character actually. But yeah, fruity side of this beer is very, very nice. On the green side of the hops then, I'd say it's got a good bit of a floral aromaticity to it. You can get a little bit of that kind of spicy floral note, which will be the crystal. I can actually get a little bit of the woodiness out of it as well, believe it or not, from the hoppy side of things. So yeah, on the sides of the nose you will notice a bit of a kind of spicy floral aromaticity, but also a little bit of woodiness, which is quite interesting. That's very, very quirky actually for this beer. But yeah, didn't expect that. There's a wee touch of earthiness in there as well. But the malt base in this one, I think, is very, very interesting. You can definitely smell with this one. You can smell the big thick oaty character. This strikes me as being quite similar in terms of its malt-based composition to the King of Hops and the Olive Ale, because they had a little bit of that kind of biscuity, that more kind of they had a little bit of that kind of oily biscuity type sweetness to them, and you can really detect that in the aroma here. So you've got a big oaty creaminess coming out of the beer, but then on top of that you've got a big oily kind of Werther's Original McVitie's Digestive type biscuit aroma there. You can really pick that out, but towards the back of the nose you will get a little bit more of a kind of more bitey type, wheaty type quality coming out of this one. So yeah, that's a very quirky thing to mention about this beer. I really like how that comes out of it. This one has got quite a complex aroma to it, to be honest with you. And for a 7.5%er, that's pretty impressive, because normally you'd expect this level of complexity from, you know, something that's like 8.5, 9%. But as I said to you before, one of my opinions about the New England IPAs is that when you go above the kind of 8% mark with these, you really start to struggle to cover up the alcohol unless you add a little bit of caramel or biscuit malt or something like this. You need to put a little bit of brown sugar in there to just cover the booziness, because the wheat and the oats, I don't think, cover it in the same way that caramel does, and that of course was never a problem with the West Coast IPAs nor the black IPAs. But yeah, the aroma of this one, I think, is very nice. It really strikes me as a more kind of thick, oaty New England IPA. This one, it strikes me in the aroma as being very, very thick, but it has got a little bit of sweetness to it, and the fruity side of this beer, I think, is very, very interesting too. And yeah, definitely cool to see Crosby hops on this. So I'm guessing they will have, you know, shipped over a lot of their hops for this one. I don't know if Crosby hops are the regular supplier for Stigbergets, but you know, they've always got some pretty good things. So yeah, I have to say that is pretty damn cool. But yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go. And take a bit of time to enjoy that aroma, but now we're going to taste it. This one is the Three-Headed Cod, a 7.5% New England hazy type IPA from Stigbergets Bryggeri in Gothenburg on the west coast here in Sweden. The Swedish craft beer capital, as I always say. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Oh yeah, that's really very nice. Yeah, it's not, on first impressions, I don't find this one quite as big and thick as the likes of the King of Hops and the Ololeo and stuff like that, but this one's only 7.5%. Those ones were either 8 or 8.5, if memory serves me correctly. Got a wee fruit fly going around, it's annoying. But yeah, the flavour of this beer is really nice. This is one of the better lower alcohol IPAs that I've had from Stigbergets. I do like this one better than the Hop Selection IPA. So yeah, this one is absolutely solid in my opinion. I really like this. Most of the Stigbergets IPAs, of course, tend to be around the sort of 6 point, or the regular ones, I guess. You know, the Muddle, the Muddle, the Amazing Haze, the GBG Beer Week. These are all 6.5%. So this one is a little bit heavier, and I don't know. I would recommend. I have to admit, I think the Stigbergets beers, the heavier alcohol ones, I think are a little bit better than the lower alcohol ones. So yeah, I have noticed that about the Stigbergets ones actually. I do like, I tend to like their beers a bit more when they're a bit heavier in alcohol. Ironic, of course, because I'm Scottish, but you know, I do think that when I compare them to the other breweries, I think if I was given the choice of certain things, if you know, I would probably pick the slightly higher alcohol ones from Stigbergets as being their best beers. But yeah, the mouthfeel on this is very nice. It's just got that level of thickness that you want from a New England IPA. I have to admit, I do think that I like the 7%ers with the New Englands a bit more, because they do just tend to be that bit thicker because of the higher wheat and the higher oaty content that they have. But yeah, this one for me, the mouthfeel is nice, but we'll focus on that later. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour of this one a little bit then. You can feel that kind of pale malty quality, that blankets the middle of your palate. On top of that, you get the nice wheatiness, and that thickens up the further you go into the aftertaste of this one. If you go towards the back third of your palate, you do get a little touch of bitiness from the wheat, but it's not. It's actually not too kind of pungent and astringent, if that makes sense. It's actually got a little bit of graininess to it, so the wheat is a little bit more kind of not subtle, a little bit more humble almost in its presence in this beer. But as I say, the further you go into the aftertaste, it will develop and be a little bit more pungent, as I say. But you've got some really nice. You do have some very nice. You do have a little some very nice kind of hoppy characters, so kind of complementing it as well. The earthiness that comes out of this one almost kind of complements the graininess that this beer has in the back third of the palate, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, the mouthfeel of this is just lovely. So yeah, in the middle third of your palate then, this is where you're getting the biggest level of malty complexity out of the beer. So yeah, you can feel that nice kind of the pale malty base. Then you've got a slightly thicker wheaty quality underneath it. Towards the front of that middle third of your tongue, you get a little bit more of a kind of oaty note out of the beer. But in the very centre of your palate, there is a wee bit of a sweet there is a wee tiny touch of a kind of concentrated sweet caramel. But as you move further out from that, it sort of develops to be a little bit more it develops to be a little bit more kind of Werther's originally, and then you get a little bit more of that kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity, almost grainy type flavour as you go further out from that. So yes, a circle in the very centre of your palate, caramel, then Werther's original, and then more of a McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing. But underneath that, of course, you've got a big kind of you've got a big sort of white bready, wheaty kind of thing. So yeah, you will pick that out of this beer. As I say, the oaty kind of creamy notes come out more towards the kind of front of that palate, and the oaty note actually gives you, it's almost like you've got a big kind of bready border between the front third of the tongue, and also the it's almost like you've got a kind of big sort of bready border between that front third of your tongue and the middle third of your palate. But let's focus on the hoppy side of the beer now. So in the back corners of the palate, there is a little touch of earthiness in there. I do think that's most likely to come from the crystal, because I don't remember Idaho 7 or Amarillo having a kind of prominent earthiness like that, but there is a small bit of earthiness there. But as you come further forward from that, the beer very quickly moves to be a little bit more, it definitely gets to be a slightly darker floral aromatic one. Amarillo, if I remember rightly, is about 12% alpha acid. I think Idaho 7 is a bit higher, like 13, 14. I think it's on the same level as the likes of Mosaic and stuff like this, but at the same time it gives you those lovely soft fruity things. So you do get a nice little bit of a darker, slightly dank floral aromaticity on the front corners of your palate. Then around the very front curve of the tongue, it's just a little bit lighter and more grassy. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where the front third of your tongue, and that's where you get those fruity, juicy esters pushing their way out of the beer. And for me, this one is pretty damn spot on, I have to say. I really like how this one does its thing. So yeah, fruity side of things. It's very well balanced between being juicy, as you would expect from the New England IPA, of course, but at the same time you've got a lovely oily character to this one, and that's the Amarillo. I love the Amarillo hop, and I think it's a bit of a shame how it's been passed over these days in favour of the Mosaic. Not that I have anything against Mosaic, because that's also a very nice hop, but yeah, I love the old school oily orange character of the Amarillo, and the fruity side of this beer is really nicely done with that. But I will say, the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, you will notice the kind of spicy notes from the crystal, they still stay there on the side of the palate, and I can see why people say it's got a little bit of a woody character as well. You really get a bit of woodiness on the sides of your palate too, so it's an interesting thing. That crystal, like I say, it's not a hop you're going to come across all that often with European craft breweries, but I think it is fairly popular over on the American West Coast, and I can see why. It really is. It really gives you a very interesting bittering quality to that. So I do suspect that crystal's been used as the early addition hop in this one, and the spiciness that it gives you is really nice. So this IPA, this New England IPA, is quite different from a number of the others that I've had from Stigbergets recently. But yeah, fruity side of things then, let's focus on that. If you go towards the back of that front third of your palate, you will get a few of the darker, more pungent passion fruity notes. So yeah, a little bit of a darker passion fruit, like I said, but as soon as you come forward from that, you start to get juicy mangoes, you get a lot of an ape. I find this one to be a good balance between, the apricots and the papayas. You really get a lovely juiciness in the very centre of that front third of your palate. I like that about this one. But then you can feel a little bit of it's a kind of tropical fruit salad, to be honest with you. The back half of the tongue there, as I say, passion fruit, mangoes, and then the apricots, the papayas, the pineapples and things. And as you get onto that kind of front half of the front third of your tongue, it's a bit more oily and orangey in my mind. And I do like how that side of it goes together. The oily orangey character is very, very nice. And yeah, it lingers there. You can feel that if you focus on that front, almost tip of your tongue. The oily orange comes out very, very nicely in this one. Classic Amarillo in my mind, and yeah, I love it. I have to say, I do love it. So yeah, you can feel a few of the tropical notes kind of creeping over the top of the first part of that Amarillo. A little bit of the pineapple and a little bit of the kind of apricot-y type flavours, but yeah, the sort of slightly darker passion fruit, that lingers a little bit into the aftertaste. But yeah, the juicy oily orange almost gives the beer a little bit of a zesty quality. You will notice that on the very front tip of your palate, it does start to feel more and more zesty as you go further into the aftertaste there. But yeah, behind that front part of that front third of your tongue, as I say, the border between the fruits and the malts, it's quite oaty and almost a bit like white bready. You can really get that kind of quality out of it as well. But yeah, the things that are very quirky about this one are the way that the Amarillo gives you the zestiness and also the oiliness. The tropical fruits are a little bit different, and as I say, that slightly spicy and woody hoppy quality that the beer has on the sides of the palate, that's very, very nice. But yeah, this beer gets a massive thumbs up from me. I really like this one. I mean, the hop selection IPA that we had last time from these guys, they do seem to be doing more of these things over the last little while, focusing on the hops and getting hop farms and stuff involved. I hope that continues, actually. That would be quite cool, because the beers that they have had with these as part of these collaborations have turned out very, very nice. But yeah, this one is really quite nice, I have to say. Big thumbs up to Stigbergets Bryggeri for this one. This is one that really sits nicely with me. But if you've watched the channel before, you will know that I'm a bit of a sucker for the Amarillo hop, so maybe it's not a surprise to some of you that I like this one. So yeah. But yeah, The mouthfeel then, I find this is kind of top end of mid-bodied, bottom end of full-bodied. It's quite a thick New England IPA. This one, there's a good balance between creaminess, but I think the further you go into the aftertaste with it, you might think it becomes a little bit more oily. So quite an oily, but yet still quite creamy New England IPA. Some really lovely floral aromatic qualities coming out of this one. It gives it a nice degree of bitterness. I think this one's maybe about a 40 IBU bitterness. The carbonation is very, very smooth there. So yeah, oily and creamy, but at the same time very smooth in its carbonation, very thick mouthfeel. But yeah, 40 IBUs in my mind. The malt base, again, very thick and creamy, but it does have a degree of sweetness in the middle of the palate as well. And then you've got some lovely juicy but also oily tropical fruit notes coming out of this one, and just a little touch spicy in there as well. So the mouthfeel that you get out of this one is quite quirky and quite different compared to some of the other beers that you're going to come across in from Stigbergets. I think the mouthfeel of this one is a little bit different, and it doesn't, the sweetness, the more that I think about this, the sweetness that you get out of this one, it's not quite the same as the Ololeo and the King and Queen of Hops. It's not quite on the same thing. I do find that the more you go into the aftertaste with this beer, it seems to get more and more oaty and smooth, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's a beautiful beer, this one, the Three-Headed Cod. If you get the chance to try it, you will enjoy this one. I think it's a bit of a shame if this is only going to be a one-off brew, because I think this is a really nice recipe. But yeah, who knows, they probably will use the base recipe or whatever and play with the hops and things like that, because that's what Stigbergets like to do. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. This one was the Three-Headed Cod, a 7.5% hazy New England IPA from Stigbergets Bryggeri in Gothenburg, brewed in collaboration with the Crosby Hop Farm from Woodburn over in the Willamette Valley in Oregon on the west coast of America. Really interesting beer, this one, and it was awesome to be able to review it for you. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one then. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Stigbergets and from the Crosby, and if you have any other beers that Crosby Hop Farm have been involved in, it'd be cool to know that. But yeah, another awesome beer from Stigbergets, and I've really enjoyed reviewing this one. Who knows, maybe when I get out to Oregon I can go and visit the Crosby Hop Farm and have a little look around. They've maybe got their own little pilot brewery or something like that. I didn't say anything about that on the website right enough. But yeah, awesome stuff. Thank you again for watching my beer reviews. As always, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below, and I will catch you guys very soon. Check out my social media, check out Stigbergets Bryggeri, and also check out the Crosby Hop Farm from Woodburn, Oregon, America. Slàinte, skål, cheers, thank you for watching.